In today's news, Rotary Club Sunrise launches Power of One and HLSCC launches Tourism Certification Program.
And the Guyanese man is now suing Caribbean Airlines for planting drugs in his suitcase. All that and so much more when 284 News returns.
How does financial services benefit the BVI? It's been around for more than 3 decades before the World Wide Web and is now part of the everyday life of our islands. More than 2,200 people are directly employed in financial services, and another 3,000 jobs are supported indirectly. Jobs are corporate service providers, lawyers, insolvency, accounting, banking, insurance, regulators. That's almost 27% of the national workforce. Of those, more than 65% are BVI landers and belongers. What about restaurants, supermarkets, or shops? Well, 100% of people eat. So, they buy food. They buy swimsuits and shampoo and cars and power tools and plantains and fish and roti and pates. Financial services employees buy painkillers and lots of beer. Then there's electricity and dental floss and toilet paper and pretty much everything else. And everyone needs a roof over their heads and a place to do business, so we all rent or buy from a local landlord. Housing and office space alone means millions of dollars into the pockets of BVI families. At the end of the day, everyone benefits, including charities who receive thousands of dollars every year. And more than 60% of all government revenues come from fees paid by financial services. This money is spent on schools, roads, ports, scholarships, the environment, health, sports, children, youths, and the elderly. Financial services contributes more than $290 million to the BVI economy. That's more than 30% of all economic activity is driven by financial services. This creates thousands of jobs all across the islands, meaning more people have a way to earn a living. What does financial services do for the BVI? Let's just say it keeps our lights on. Financial services is everybody's business. So, come on, mind your business and let's not keep this to ourselves.
Welcome everybody. It's Tuesday, October 13th, 2020. We are coming to you live and direct from the beautiful British Virgin Islands. I'm Ron Grant.
And my name is Javon Wilson. So thrilled to welcome you to another edition of 284 News. Now, Ron, before we get into the gist of things, I just want to begin by highlighting one of the corporate companies in the BVI that always continues to lend to the community,
Yes, ma'am.
and that is the Rotang Wholesale Group of Companies, of course, popularly known as RTW. Now, in collaboration with Lucozade Caribbean, they have now joined forces to donate 100 cases of Lucozade to essential workers across the BVI. Now, marketing manager Mrs. Dawn Callwood said, and I quote, "We were delighted to donate our stock to the hardworking essential workers of the BVI, and our hope is that the delivery will bring a little bit of comfort to our community and the key workers," end of quote. Now, viewers, in addition to that, now throughout the month of September and up until the end of this year, consumers of the BVI will receive a free bottle of Lucozade as a thank you during these challenging times. And Ron, what an incredible way to spread some love and some energy. I think we absolutely need it. I think it's very timely. And I just want to say thank you to RTW as well as thank you to Lucozade Caribbean for their generosity.
Giovanna, I gotta echo those sentiments. Thank you. There's nothing better than a cold
Bottle of Lucozade,
lemonade.
especially the passion
Lucozade.
fruit.
I have some favorite. There are different flavors, and I love the tropical. There's a blue bottle, but it just gives you that rejuvenation and that energy. Sweet for some people, but it's good stuff.
Listen, we'll make it work. Viewers, want to head straight into your newscast for today. Now, enhancing the customer service experience, the Social Security Board of Virgin Gorda has relocated its Virgin Gorda sub-office to its new home at the Village Rose Mall, South Valley. Now, during last Monday's reopening ceremony, Honorable Vincent O. Wheatley, the Minister for Natural Resources, Labor and Immigration, said, and I quote, "Social Security is one of the BVI's success stories, and I can see it is going from strength to strength," end of quote. Now, the minister further thanked the Social Security Board's director, Ms. Antoinette Skelton, and her team for their hard work in opening the new location and acknowledged the staff for their quality service extended to the Virgin Gorda community for 24 years since the sub-office's establishment back in 1996. Mrs. Skelton told the small gathering of the origins of the Social Security Board. She explained that the late Honorable Ralph T. O'Neill was concerned that there was no retirement system in the BVI and became the driving force in the establishment of the Social Security Board. She also said that the Social Security Board is, and I quote, the government's greatest success story, further highlighting that the Social Security Board makes $20 million in just pension payments this year. Now, the director also said that the Social Security Board will consider expanding their services in the Virgin Gorda office very soon. Pastor Gleason Brooks of the Church of God of Holiness Valley blessed the office space. Social Security Board members Mrs. Lyra George as well as Mr. Derek Marshall, Deputy Director with responsibility for National Health Insurance, Mr. Roy Barry, Deputy Director for Social Security, Mrs. Jeanette Scatliff Boynes, and the Social Security Board Human Resources Manager, Mrs. Deborah Leslie, also attended Monday's brief ceremony. The Social Security Board continues to legally contribute to the community to maintain a level of social protection for all residents of the British Virgin Islands. Ron, we have been speaking about the Social Security Board so much in the past few months, and sometimes not in such a good light. We're so grateful that despite what has happened in the recent past, that this is an entity, like the Honorable Minister said, that the BVI can be proud of. It's a success story. It has good intentions, and we're just happy to see that these services are being well extended on the island of Virgin Gorda, especially within this new location, the Village Rose.
I agree, and again, I am just so happy that the our sister island of Virgin Gorda is again benefiting from ingenuity and creativity. It's brought our wings and continue to move. So we're very happy to see that. Continuing on the local scene, Deputy Premier and Minister of Education, Culture, Youth Affairs, Fisheries and Agriculture, Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley has said that reading is critical and the analysis plays an important role in preparing the territory's students to face the future. Honorable Wheatley comments came as educators and students across the territory have officially launched and celebrate Reading is Fun Week 2020 under the theme Read to Empower from October 11th through the 17th. The Minister for Education said, and I quote, "Our students are the future of the BVI. Before long, they will take the leadership mantle of this territory. Therefore, it is important for them to start preparing now by focusing on their academics and exercise their reading skills." Now, Honorable Wheatley added, becoming avid readers will give them the competitive edge they will need to execute any job adequately and enable them to become critical thinkers who will take this territory to the next level. Permanent Secretary Mrs. Carolyn Stout-Igwe is encouraging teachers, students, and of course parents to continue reading and embracing literacy. She noted, and I quote, "Reading is Fun Week is a great opportunity to really demonstrate the pleasure and benefits of reading. Everyone should become involved in the activities scheduled for this week because it helps to develop a culture of reading. This is our goal in the BVI. We would like everyone to become avid readers." Mrs. Stout-Igwe commended educators for their efforts as they continue to instill the love for reading in students. She added by saying, "Teachers continue to model good reading habits for your students. Develop a wide vocabulary for reading and speaking. Ask probing questions that will make students think and prompt further research and discussion." As at this year's theme, the Read to Empower suggests our students need to be reminded that reading unlocks the imagination and possibilities. Now, Acting Chief Education Officer Mrs. Connie George appealed to parents to continue their partnership with the schools to foster the love of reading in students while at home. Mrs. George said, and I quote, "You can help by finding fun, interactive ways to continue the work done in the classroom, which will foster the love for reading. Help students learn their sight words, talk with them, provide fun learning experiences at home or on vacation that they will always remember. Get a book and read with them. Make it a family activity until reading becomes an everyday practice that children cannot do without." The week has been declared, was declared at a virtual ceremony held on Sunday, October 11th at the New Life Baptist Church. Now, the week's activities include Book the Town, which will see the De Castro Drive in Roadtown decorated with poster displays of favorite books. The public is also invited to join by printing and laminating a poster with a picture of course, your favorite book and a few words about the text. A round table discussion will be aired on Community Chat today, Tuesday, October 13th, where selected students will discuss a local book and share local poetry. Book talks and book report sessions will also be held where teachers and students will read and discuss a locally written book. Students will also share information about their favorite book. The main objective of Reading is Fun Week is to spark a love and interest for reading through fun activities. The week will feature several activities aimed at promoting reading at all grade levels in the Virgin Islands. Now, all principals are asked to find creative ways to celebrate Reading is Fun Week within each school. Jovan, I had the honor of reading to grade 2 students at the Althea Scatliff Primary School just yesterday. We read a book, Mr. Redfish, and before I got into the book, of course, I spoke about the importance of fishing. Many of the students could relate. They love the water. They enjoyed fishing. They have either been fishing or wanted to go fishing, and I think as we celebrate Reading is Fun Week, it's really just exciting way to get students, and believe it or not, adults as well, into
Absolutely.
reading. It's very important.
And you know, even more timely, on Sunday, Mrs. Chandria Turnbull launching her book, The Power of 30, and really tying into the whole theme of Reading is Fun Week. I think it was timely and very powerful, because what it truly encapsulates is motivation, movement, and meditation, which speaks to your mind, body, and soul. But like you said, Ron, even for adults, one of the things we can reflect on and definitely agree on is the fact that successful people, the one thing they have in common is that they read a lot. So I think definitely this is something we want to also continue to encourage with our children. It also brings me back to little Mrs. Radiance Donovan, who we had here. Brilliant. Also the recipient for Rotary's Literacy Award this year.
And she's their advocate, actually, yes.
Absolutely. So it's just really exciting to see our children getting into the habit of reading. It's not only fun, but it's definitely fundamental in these times.
I agree. Now, viewers, still ahead, HLSCC launches the Tourism Certification Program. We have all the details. We sat down with Mrs. Keisha Davis Barnes, and you don't want to miss it. All this and more after a word from our sponsors. You're watching 284 News.
How does financial services benefit the BVI? It's been around for more than 3 decades before the World Wide Web and is now part of the everyday life of our islands. More than 2,200 people are directly employed in financial services, and another 3,000 jobs are supported indirectly. Jobs are corporate service providers, lawyers, insolvency, accounting, banking, insurance, regulators. That's almost 27% of the national workforce. Of those, more than 65% are BVI landers and belongers. What about restaurants, supermarkets, or shops? Well, 100% of people eat. So, they buy food. They buy swimsuits and shampoo and cars and power tools and plantains and fish and roti and pates. Financial services employees buy painkillers and lots of beer. Then there's electricity and dental floss and toilet paper and pretty much everything else. And everyone needs a roof over their heads and a place to do business, so we all rent or buy from a local landlord. Housing and office space alone means millions of dollars into the pockets of BVI families. At the end of the day, everyone benefits, including charities who receive thousands of dollars every year. And more than 60% of all government revenues come from fees paid by financial services. This money is spent on schools, roads, ports, scholarships, the environment, health, sports, children, youths, and the elderly. Financial services contributes more than $290 million to the BVI economy. That's more than 30% of all economic activity is driven by financial services. This creates thousands of jobs all across the islands, meaning more people have a way to earn a living. What does financial services do for the BVI? Let's just say it keeps our lights on. Financial services is everybody's business. So, come on, mind your business and let's not keep this to ourselves.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, on the regional scene, a Guyanese-American man is now suing Caribbean Airlines after he unwittingly transported drugs to New York from the Cheddi-Jagan International Airport 2 years ago. Mr. Simeon Wilson, a Queens resident, told the New York Post that his nightmare began after he had spent just about a week with family celebrating his elderly father's birthday. According to the documents filed in the Brooklyn federal court, the 50-year-old said that he picked up his luggage from the carousel on arrival at the JFK International Airport, and he failed to notice a necktie affixed to his bags, which is a sign that his luggage was tampered with. He was pulled aside by U.S. Custom agents shortly after and arrested when 2,000 grams of cocaine were found inside his bags. In court papers, Wilson said, and I quote, "I had never touched, handled, or sold or even seen drugs in my life and didn't put them in the suitcase." End of quote. He said, "You go out for a vacation, you don't expect anybody to go and tamper with your bags," he further said to the police and the media. Wilson said that he did not even realize that there was a necktie attached to his suitcase that was not there when he decided to check it in. He only saw that when he was pulled over by U.S. Customs. Now, the case was dropped almost 3 months later after prosecutors determined that the bags had been tampered with while, quote, "in the sole custody of Caribbean Airlines," he said in the legal filing. Now, Mr. Wilson, who also works as a janitor, visited Guyana to celebrate his father's birthday. The vacation went well, but all of that turned sour when he was arrested at JFK. Mr. Wilson described the situation as a nightmare and said that his troubles continued as his reputation in the Queens Guyanese community was ruined. He even lost his job. He's also very frequently pulled aside by customs at airports because his name has now been flagged and he has to carry proof that the case was dropped. Mr. Wilson is seeking restitution from Caribbean Airlines for the entire ordeal, claiming damages for their lapsed security measures as well as the consequences that followed his arrest. The amount he is seeking is not available at this time. Ron, what a nightmare as we think about the war on drugs. Can you imagine waking up excited to go on your vacation only to be caught in this craziness? I think while we're happy to know that the charges were dropped, I think the consequences will continue to linger for a very long time. We know that he lost his job. He has been flagged. But the situation really speaks to the fact that, and I think something that we always come to see eventually, that there's always an inside person working along at some of these companies. And so we're just hoping that some justice can be brought to this situation.
Well, like you said, having an inside person who's working literally against the system makes it enormously hard for situations like this. We've seen an influx, Jovan, of stories across the region, specifically within the Caribbean, as it pertains to the war on drugs. And I think this story, in essence, really solidifies the battle that is ahead. It's not going to be an easy fight. It's not going to be an easy road. And all stakeholders, I think, need to do research, really, and really sit down and analyze what it is perhaps we're not doing right. But in the final analysis, really understand that it's going to take a collaborative effort. And I don't know what it's going to take to really stamp it out. I don't know if it could actually be stamped out when we talk about the third pillar. How deeply rooted it is, and the aspect in which it plays on various economies. But it's definitely, this story highlights very important aspects.
Definitely.
Now, on the local scene here in the Virgin Islands, with tourism industries all around us taking a significant hit during, of course, the global pandemic that is COVID-19, these times call for ingenuity and creativity in order to preserve and sustain tourism industries. Recently, the government of the Virgin Islands announced the reopening of the BVI borders to visitors on December 1st, 2020. With that in mind, stakeholders are engaging in planning and preparation in an attempt to provide the best services possible. Now, in addition to that, on Friday, October 9th, 2020, the H. Lavie Stout Community College, along with the Government of the Virgin Islands and the BVI Tourist Board, launched the Tourism Certification Program 2020. The main beneficiaries of this program will be professionals working in the hospitality industry in various disciplines seeking to be certified in order to better serve, with the first 1,000 applicants being free, thanks to a contribution from the BVI Tourist Board of $100,000. Now, yesterday, I sat down with the director of the Culinary Arts and Hospitality Studies Department at the H. Lively South Community College, Mrs. Keisha Davis Barnes, for an in-depth conversation on not only the program, but the importance of hospitality during this very difficult time and the training of professionals, as well as how persons can get registered and which, of course, has affected the industries all around us. Take a look.
I think that it is the backbone of our success within the industry, you know. Training and development in any area is important, Ron. And I think that, you know, once we be able to provide a platform for training and development, one that is measurable and one that has accountability connected to it, I feel that, you know, our service excellence levels can go up once we become a bit more serious about it and once organizations understand the importance of it, Ron.
Okay. As mentioned earlier, on Friday, October 9th, yourself, along with your colleagues at HLSCC, the Government of the Virgin Islands, and the BVI Tourist Board launched the Tourism Certification Program. Tell us about this program.
Okay, so the certification program that we're having hosted at HLSCC, it has been 10 years in the working.
Wow.
Yes, so this is something that we have been working on for a very long time. Back in, I think it was 2001, 2002, I became a certified hospitality trainer with the American Hotel Lodging Educational Institute. And that is where the birth for training and development within me came about. I learned all of the different techniques and I was like, you know, I think that this is something that we should be able to create a platform for persons in the tourism industry to be able to have an opportunity to be trained on industry standards so that they can brush up their skills so that, like I said before, we can up our service excellence in the country. A lot of times people go out, Ron, and they will say, oh, customer service is suck in our country and we need to do something about it. And I think that the idea for me was like, at the college, we need to be the persons that's driving that conversation when it comes to the training and development component, because if we don't do it, no one else is going to do it for us. And I think that, you know, it is important for us to be able to incorporate all of the stakeholders, the government, the BVI Tourist Board, the college. We're going to be, you know, getting out to all of the islands so that we will ensure that we leave no stones left unturned. But training and development is very important. And it is funny, you know, Ron, because tourism has been one of our main economical pillars for a long time. And it has never been the conversation. And I was a bit taken back as to why that is, and I think that we as professionals in the industry, we don't like kind of go out and make it a big deal and ensure that persons understand how important tourism is to our economic development in this country. We hear a lot about financial services, and you know, it's all good and well, but at the end of the day, I tell my students that hospitality isn't going anywhere. People they love to travel, they want to come and visit us, they want to eat, they want to sleep. So this industry is here to stay. We are facing the COVID-19 pandemic right now, Ron, and out of every bad thing, I tend to look at the good in it. And I think that this pandemic has caused us to stop and think and realign, you know, where we are in the Virgin Islands as an industry and what we want to be able to see in our BVI love, that authenticity. And it is important for persons to be trained within their areas so that they can know how to produce at industry levels.
Jovan, quite an informative interview by the very talented Mrs. Keisha Davis Barnes. Now, viewers, for those of you who have not had an opportunity to view that can be viewed via our website on 284media.com or our Facebook page. At such a very pivotal point, the training of tourism professionals, especially as we seek to reopen our borders, is of paramount importance. And in that interview, you really get the understanding of how all stakeholders play a very important role.
You know, Ron, I'm very happy to see Ms. Keisha Davis Barnes leading the charge on this project, because who better? She is one of the most seasoned, the most enthusiastic, and one of the most understanding as it relates to the actual product and what it requires and what it takes.
Honest as well.
Absolutely. So I really love that she's leading the charge. I think for some time, whether we want to admit it or not, we have neglected the tourism industry and seen it more as a crutch to financial services. So I'm really happy to see that training will be done in this specific industry, especially like you said at this time, Ron. Tourism is going to be very critical in our bounce back as it relates to stabilizing the economy. Viewers, still ahead, we're speaking about some of the airports in the region that has reopened as we too here in the BVI prepare for that grand reopening on December 1st. All that and so much more when 284 News returns.
The win! Oh!
What are the hell?
I'm freaking out!
Is time. 284 News.
Coming to you live and direct from the beautiful British Virgin Islands.
What's poppin', what's really good, what's happening, what's up?
Davis has won it for the Lakers!
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, like we mentioned before the break, in the region, we see international airlines reacting very positively and swiftly to the government of Guyana's decision to reopen its airports effective yesterday, October 12th, following the closure since March 20th because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the government of the world's newest petro state and one of the hottest oil exploration spots, which has seen more than 8 billion barrels of oil from 18 discoveries since 2015, disclosed that several commercial carriers, including Eastern Airlines, Copa Airlines, as well as American Airlines, have already posted their flight schedules. Now, while Caribbean Airlines is yet to post their flight schedule, the reopening of the English-speaking South American nation's international airport comes even as the government is in discussions with Virgin Atlantic as well as Inter-Caribbean Airways to provide flights to Guyana. Now, knowledgeable airline industry sources have advised that Guyanese stranded overseas should not expect to automatically be able to fly to Guyana unless the airports in the countries which they are stranded have reopened to regular departing international flights. With the reopening of the main airport, however, the Chedijagan International Airport to Mary and the Eugene Carrera International Airport at Ogo on the Atlantic coast, just outside of the capital, Georgetown, the local health authorities have now implemented quite a number of measures to ensure that Guyanese are safe from COVID-19. Ron, just yesterday, on yesterday's newscast, Kyle and I spoke to many countries in the regions, especially specific to American Airlines, where American Airlines flies to currently. We do see many of those airports being reopened in the region. Guyana has now joined that list as of yesterday. And you know, just like the BVI, as we approach December 1st, but just like the BVI, what we see is countries, especially because we are a region that is tourism reliant, beginning to reopen to ensure that we do not fully fracture the economy. So I'm really happy to see this. And again, another example that we can look at and not necessarily reinvent the wheel and adopt some of those measures.
Jovan, I'm so happy to read this story because at the end of the day, like you mentioned, we have so many examples of ingenuity in persons, countries, regionally, finding creative ways, and we do not have to start from scratch. We just have to really look at what works for us and take that away. I think this story serves as a really good example for how important it is to really consider all factors as it pertains to airports and territories reopening their borders. We have to be creative. We have to think outside the box, which we've heard many times before. But most importantly, we have to really look at all facets of tourism and how that will trickle down to different agencies. When we look at tourism, one of the things in our interview with Mrs. Keisha Davis Barnes, she said that she really sometimes wonders why tourism, even though it's one of our main economic pillars, is not the center of conversations. And that is very important because we tend to overlook tourism and go to financial services. But if it is really bread and butter, I think it's imperative that we really look at all factors and we really consider the idea that at the end of the day, we have to look at all stakeholders, whether it's the taxi drivers picking persons up from the airport attendants, our customs and immigration officers who can be a little bit harsh sometimes,
Oh my
I think
goodness.
that's absolutely important. I know
Yes.
I'm just
Yes,
true.
absolutely.
You know, we have to look at all aspects. And when we look at tourism, if we really value it, you can't just speak to people the way you want to. So we
Absolutely.
have to look at all aspects, beautiful people, when it comes to BVI love.
Absolutely. It's everybody's business. And I think we just wrap that up.
Yes.
That's all the time we have. Guys, take care.
Bye-bye.